Hi, Thomas is here. I can
Hi.
see him. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Thomas. Where are you from?
From Malmö in Sweden.
Oh,
Yeah. I'm working with a gold ball.
I'm so happy that you're here. I was in Italy last 15 days ago. 15 days ago.
Okay, in the European B.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it was amazing.
Yeah.
But you're in the Serie A, right?
No, the Swedish men's team were in Italy.
Ah, no, Swedish. I understand
Yeah.
Sweden. Sorry,
Yeah.
Swedish. Sorry for the results.
Yeah. 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 So now they are in the European Sea.
Yeah, I know.
So
Sorry.
so not in A.
Thomas, maybe just going to be three of us.
Okay.
I promise that I'm going to be very fast, as usually.
Yeah.
It's nice that we just in case just three of us, because if you have any questions, it's going to be faster. You can just open your microphone if you have any question. Uh, Also, if someone from Denmark or Sweden want to see this video because we miss it, Moshi, that it's our girl here,
Hi.
she's from Virtus, that it's the Aya athletes, but she passed the content, the video, to our IPSA manager. So, and she can upload. She's going to upload, I don't know how long, maybe 1 week or two, on the YouTube channel for IPSA, so you can share. But if you have any trouble, Moshe also going to publish on the Virtus website, and you can go through this one. Doesn't matter which one, it's going to be the same video. The content is the same for all the athletes because the rules are the same for everyone. And feel free to contact me by phone, by email. It's always a pleasure to help. Let's start. Very to do. So it's me. Um, I don't know how to minimize some stuffs, but it's okay. So this seminar for today, it's going to be just around TUI, therapeutic use exception. It's a very important tool for us because many athletes must to be passed through treatment, must use some medications, and this is the way that we can solve this issue and not to be a positive test on the control. Okay. And what's very important to know is what it's doing. If an athlete, as I told, passed through some treatment for any disease, any type, and must you have to use a medication that's prohibited during the WADA list that we talked before, they can request this TUI, this documentation, this granted authorization to use this prohibited medicine. This to ensure that, for example, if the athlete goes to a competition and it requests to a doping control to test it, even if it's positive, the sample, it's not going to become a positive test. We call ADVR, anti-doping rule violation. So it's going to test positive, but we are not going to proceed as a result management. We are not going to give any sanction to the athlete because they are under the rules. And how and why to request. For example, if the athlete must to have a treatment for a medical diagnosis, but must to be real disease, not something they are created. Like I have a flu, a normal flu. It's not an excuse to use a medication, prohibited medication, but a diabetes, it's a real disease to use a medication. That there is no other medication to replace this one. For example, diabetes, we need to use insulin most of the case. There are other options, yes, but sometimes it's necessary to be an insulin. So what we are going to do? Request it to it. This medication not going to give an advantage. So we are going to put just the athlete the same level as others. Um, and this is a very tricky one. Why? Some medications must be used because the athlete used a dope before and had some a new disease regarding than this first medication prohibited. So, for example, some athletes that try to use testosterone before to try to cheating and had a result of a mastectomy problem or other problem with testicles, they are not allowed to use a new medication for treat this condition. It's strict this one, okay, but it's not very common. Who can request a TUI? This is also very important to understand who are each athlete, because athletes are separate level of athletes: national athletes, international athletes, recreational athletes. For example, you in Denmark or in Swedish, you have athletes that go just to play, for join the time, to be with the other athletes, with other blind athletes, and this is just recreation, okay? Other athletes go to national level of competition, like uh, Swedish competition. This is national ones. However, some of them going to international one, like World Games in Birmingham that we had last year, or Paralympic Games. This is called international level of athletes. So these athletes, all those athletes must to apply a TUI before in advanced, with around 30 days in advanced to the next competition. How? If the athlete's a national athlete and they know that in September they are going to have a national competition and he needs to use a prohibited substance, he's going to apply to Swedish NADO the request to use this medicine. Or they go to the Paralympic Games. They know that in September they are going to compete. They must to apply a TUI to us, IPSA, or after August, 8th of August, to IPC. This is a very tiny information that doesn't make difference for the majority of the countries. But if it's one of the Paralympic countries that watching this in the future, remind 8th of August, you become an IPC athlete, not just for goalball, judo, and football for IPSA, wheelchair fencing for world ability sports, and for Virtus, you can use us until 7 and IPC on 8th. Okay, Virtus can use both of them. It's a little bit different than other federations.
But if you already have a registration in the Adams, will you have to send in a new one after the 8th of August, or?
No. For example, your Danish athlete has a TUI for Danish NADO and going to compete in IPSA World Championship. What you're going to do, just send an email to us, in this case to me, with the granted TUI and the documentation. I'm going to record, enter in Adams, and recognize. If your athlete go to the Paralympic Games, you must send to IPC the same, and they are going to recognize the same. It's just a click. It's mandatory to send the documentation. Depends of each international federation. For IPSA, World Ability Sports, Virtus, and IPC, you must send a reminder that it's this documentation. Doesn't mean that we are not going to accept, just that we need the pack of information to make sure this TUI, it makes sense. Usually, all the TUIs granted are right, the majority of them. But sometimes some NADOs doesn't understand our specifications because we are Paralympic athletes and they don't have a huge knowledge on blind athletes, II athletes, and their specific needs. So this is why we request the documentation, not because we are not confident on their medical doctor. We just want to double check because our athletes sometimes need a special medications that it's used for us, but not for them. Remember, at least 30 days before, It's better to send even with more days in advance. Sometimes take long because they athletes don't send the full information. So as soon as we send, we are going to double check if there is the form and everything that I'm going to explain. If you're missing some documentation, what's going to happen? I'm going to answer you back telling you missed the form, for example, and the count starts since the beginning, the day zero. So just when we have the full information, we start to count 30 days. How to request a TUI. This is other information that many of you sometimes in doubt. If you're a national athlete, for example, you can go to ABCD, the Brazilian Nado. But if you are international athletes, you must go to International Federation website to request this form. As we talked, national athletes, international athletes. Who is going to complete this? The athlete, the parents, depends of the situation, if the minor, for example, and the medical doctor. Why the medical doctor? Because there are medical informations that just the medical is going to know. For Virtus, for example, you can find here anti-doping in clean sport. Please follow us in the Making Visible. That it's our new program. Maybe Mosh can talk a little bit more after. For Virtus, you can find here and also some tips how to request a TUI. For IPSA, go to anti-doping and classification. It's in the top. And therapeutic is the section. And for wordability, it's the same, anti-doping after medications and therapeutic exceptions. You can download the form easily. So let's go step by step what we should do. First, check the status of the medication. Why? We receive many requesting from medications that are not prohibited. Like I'm taking ibuprofen. Ibuprofen is not prohibited. So the first thing is to double check if the medication you're taking has any prohibited substance or not. So I deeply suggest to go to Global Drug. You can find Global Drug in the three websites for the three international federations. And you, as from IPSA, I deeply suggest to download our app. And the app you can find the Global Drug also. Just put the name of the Global Drug. For example, ibuprofen. Be careful when you use a brand name like, let me see, Buscofen, something like that. Because sometimes the prohibited substance, it's not the name, the brand. It's the substance that you find on the back of the box. So check. If the substance is not prohibited, let's move on. If it's prohibited, we must to check if you are international athletes or national athletes to find which organization must you send. As we talked, usually the global games, world games, and the world championship. You can find it on the website. For IPSA, the majority of them, it's just world championship. We have some just change for chess or showdown because there are small competitions. However, for Go Ball, it's a world championship. Download the TUI from the website and complete. Until this part is easy. Let's go to the Virtus one, the IPSA one, or any one of them. It's the same, okay? It doesn't make a difference. So what we need to do, first, we need to have athletes information. What's athletes information? Normal ones, names, address, classification sometimes, sport. Why sport? Sport is very important. Some sports, like shooting, they have different medications, okay? So always put the name of the sport. You don't need to put like SH1, like the class, but you must to put which sport your athletes play. Previous application. If you had a TUI in the past, like your athlete that has already a TUI on Adams, it's nice to put to complete this telling, yes, I have. I'm from Dinamarca, NATO, or Virtus or IPSA, doesn't matter, okay? And, oops, sorry. And here, if it's a retroactive one, we are going to talk more about this. This is the medical part. It's very important to the medical to put as much as information as possible. Why? Who is going to read this? It's another medical doctor, not just one, at least three around the world. So they need to understand deeply about the disability and the disease of this athlete. They have the numbers and like a code that is easy. The name of the substance the athlete must to take, the dose, the routine, the frequency. So, for example, insulin 2 cc injection once a day for life treatment. This is an example, okay? And the medical information. Please, when they are, and we know doctors with the letter more impossible to understand as possible. So, yeah, it's imagine me here receiving all these papers. This is impossible. Some of them are, I don't know what, maybe it's part of the course to have a difficult letters to read. So yeah, ask the doctor to write the easiest way for me. Some of them are impossible to understand. For example, I know that it's a Vivance. Why I know that it's a Vivance? Because it's for II athletes. So I guess that it's a Vivance just because of this. But look at this. What is this? And this I discovered some days ago that it's in Germany, I think. So I said, how can I understand it? It's please write like this, that it's obvious. It's no mistake, no typing mistake, okay? So as soon as we receive, we are going to analyze to see our medical team is going to understand why this athlete needs this medication and to grant it to him. We cannot forget, with this form, we must to add the exams. For example, if diabetes, the blood exams, because we must to see the sugar on the blood of the athlete. And the letter, a report from the doctor explaining why she needs the insulin, for example. I try to use the medicine X, Y, Z before, but during 6 months the treatment, we couldn't achieve the results. And so just the insulin was the only medication compatible with this athlete. Or he's allergic of the medicine A and B, so the only one on the table with insulin. For sure, not just two paragraphs, but an explanation why this athlete must to have this specific substance and not anyone. As soon as we're going to receive the Virtus or IPSA or was committee decision, Julian, I'm going to upload this on Adams, the right one document, and I'm going to send to you. Look, here you can find the expiring date. Make sure that if you are continuing to use the same medication, for example, the insulin that probably you are going to continue to use, to send to us at least 30 days before the expire date, all the medical information again. The same one that you sent 2 years ago? No. The new one, for example, the new exams that you did, the new explanation of is shorter, the information for sure, but we must to have the new information, the renew information. And as soon as we receive, our medical team is going just to double check again, and all documentation, it's going to be a cycle. If you have any change, for example, instead to 2 cc's for insulin, now you need 3, it's okay. Just send to us to the update. Okay, it's a shortcut, but you must to send. As I told you, the retroactivity one. For example, we had an athlete that had a car crash and went to the hospital. He didn't plan it. We cannot ask in advance 3 days before, like in 30 days, I'm going to have a car accident. No one can have this. It's obvious. So the medical and the hospital are going to do everything that it's possible to save the life and make the athlete health again. But collect all this information and send it to us, just because we can do this too and save on Adams the information. And if you pass through the testing, it's not a problem because we know all the information already. If you have insufficient request time, for any reason you had like a very allergic um, uh, reaction 3 days before to fly to Portugal for a competition and you had adrenaline, this is not planned also. So what we are going to do to collect the information and send to us. And athletes with different levels. I'm going to close the mini seminar with the most difficult information. Why? As I told, for example, for goalball, an example here for you. International athletes are athletes that are going to World Games or World Championship. Your athlete, so it's not called international athletes, but just regarding a therapeutic use exception. We can test them. We are here for education. We're here for everything. But for TUIs, they are not under international level of athletes. So they are going to send to the NADO. However, some NADOs tells this is not a national athlete because national athletes are athletes that are like the top 10 and the ranking or the only competition and the five best teams on national level, or each NADO can decide. So it's not international athlete. It's not a national athlete. Who is the owner of this athlete? Who I'm going to request this to? This limbo, it matched with this. Okay. You try to talk with us, we said it's not international athletes. You try to talk with your NADO. Your NADO said it's not a national athlete. So if your athlete is tested on, for example, an European B we had in Italy and become a positive, they can request a retroactive one because it's not another one. So we are going to solve it after the test. However, don't forget to send an email to International Federation, National Anti-Doping Organization to make sure that your athlete's not under an umbrella. Just a tip, don't forget to update our information. Tell your doctor that you are athlete and they are under test. So they need to understand that you are going to be tested. If you have any change, also send it to us. Pay attention expire date. And it's nice to have with you a copy of your TUI, if it's possible. On the phone, doesn't matter where, because the DCO can report on the doping control forms. Okay? Oops. Any question, Thomas?
No, not actually. I'm a bit surprised of one thing. It has not been anything I have to taken care of yet, because in our national TUI, it actually states that WADA and the International Sports Federation and our National Sports Federation has been informed or they have been notified about that this has been registered in the ADAMS database. So if you already are notified of that, why do we have to do it twice?
Why? Yeah. For example, the system
because we have Anti-Doping Sweden that we have an TUE for, and they have registered and you have been notified, but we still have to send it for if we are going to play in World Games or World Championship.
If you, I understand your issue. We have the database, the system of WADA, that Adams. Sometimes, why we request it? Sometimes the National Anti-Doping Organization don't click on blind athletes. If they don't click on blind athletes, I'm not going to receive any information because they don't put this athlete as my athlete. So it's a mistake, just one button that makes everything different. This is why. So I'm not going to receive any information, Adams, if the Swedish NADO forget to click as a blind athlete. This is the problem. In our case,
we have to have a double registration then. Yeah.
It's not a double registration, but for example, if you send your athlete, John, from Swedish team, it's a Swedish national athlete, and the NADO granted a TUI, but they forgot to click. I'm not going to recognize because I don't know this athlete. That didn't pop up in the system for me. But this doesn't mean that I'm not going to recognize in the future. This is not a problem. It's just to avoid to need to request it double or 3 times. So what's going to happen? Let's give an example. Your national athlete has a TUI granted from your NADO. They forget to click on the button. I don't know, so I didn't recognize. I test our athlete in an international competition like Italy, appear as positive. What's going to happen? For me, this athlete doesn't have a TUI because it doesn't appear for me. What I'm going to do, Juliana, I'm going to contact your NADO requesting, John has a TUI regarding insulin, and they are going to say, yes, he has, and they are going to send to me. And I'm going to say, okay, let's recognize and close the case. We are not going to open. However, if you send me in advance, I know already, and I don't need to even talk with your NADO because I know already. So I'm not starting the process. I'm not going to even open the case because I know this is the situation. This is, I don't know who is going to watch this after, but this pathway, it's for IPSA, World Ability Sports, and Virtus, because we had agreement that we out-recognize TUIs that come from NADOs or other international federation. If you are from any other international federation, please make sure that it's the same pathway, because each international federation creates their own rules. This is our rules. I granted it to it. I said recognize it, but I don't know if, for example, volleyball, sitting volleyball is the same because they decide how to procedure it.
Yeah.
But it's not a, if you don't send me, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to recognize it to it. I'm just the cut. This is the way. And it's nice because as many federations know about this request, if your athlete from Go Ball, for any reason, go to IPC to compete in athletics, they can ask me, maybe, because they said, oh, maybe Juliana from Blind Sport Federation knows. And I said, oh, I have here, it's okay. So we have a teamwork between international federations. So, and it's not so close with the NADO sometimes, but it's not a problem at all. So let's double check which document I must send to the ADO, to the NADO or International Federation. ADO means Anti-Doping Organization for a TUI. It's all above. The form, the medical report, and the medical exams. Why should I request a TUI? Every athlete must request a TUI for a supplement because some athletes need to take a medicine that are prohibited. Because TUI protect athletes from positive or all substance on the list. Because my doctor know the rules. Usually they don't know.
Oh, I think it's B.
Yeah, I'm emotional. Mosh become the second person with more knowledge on anti-doping virtues.
I know. Yeah, perks of attending all the seminars.
Yeah, and she's amazing. She's helped me with the posts and three different languages. So please, Spanish speakers and French speakers, download the posts that Motion is translating. Yeah, this is our social media. Please follow us. As I told Moshi, it's supposed to. Oh, my finger doesn't arrive until here. Here. So download and follow us on the social media, Instagram and Facebook, and also LinkedIn. Moshi is posting all the information there. It's nice. Our tip topics like how to use the global draw. So click here, click there. She did a step by step. It's very cool. I like it. Also, if you have any questions, you can send through the social media, and she directed to me. I can answer you guys. And as many as and under our social media, you are going to see not just about anti-doping, but all the programs we have. As I told, Moshi published 1 week ago, I think, 2 weeks ago, the Paralympic athletes for Paris.
Yes, the Making Invisible Visible campaign. Yes, it's a one of a kind campaign because it's only the intellectual impairment which is invisible in nature, but people with visual impairment and physical impairment, it's kind of sometimes like it's visible to the general public. So Virtus is running a campaign for the first time to make this invisible impairment visible, along with, making all the struggles and the success stories of the Paralympians with an intellectual impairment or autism visible. So it's just trying to create an awareness about the impairment, about all the different pathways Virtus provides, and on all elite competition programs Virtus offers, and how we can help the athletes with an intellectual impairment to get up to the highest sports competition within
Yeah.
Virtus program or within the Paralympic pathways. So yeah, we are very hopeful that the campaign will be well received overall. So far, the insights are very nice. So yeah, we are just doing our best to keep everything running and to shine some more light on this particular impairment, which goes often unnoticed.
Yeah, it sometimes looks like that it's obvious for some. Wheelchair, it's kind of obvious this person with disability, but some blinds and some my eyes until they don't believe they are Paralympic athletes. So it's pretty cool.
Yes, yes, definitely. And we have an athlete from UK. We did publish the article on our website recently, but she has been asked so many times that what kind of impairment you have? Did you break your eyelash or something? Like those kind of comments on the social media. And sponsors walk up to these athletes and say like, do you know anyone who looks more impaired than you? So these are very, very sensitive type of questions, and like, not really sensitive. It's very offensive to athletes with intellectual impairment because it's just the nature of the impairment that it's invisible. But general public, because they don't have enough awareness, they just ask these type of questions, which have a very negative impact on these athletes. And of course, like in their overall sponsorship, like all these mega athletes, mega para athletes, they have like endorsements coming up from all different organizations. But our athletes, like athletes with intellectual impairment, they fall behind just because the impairment is invisible. So
Yeah.
even the sponsors and all these people working in the sports industry since many, many years, they also find it so difficult to just accept the impairment and accept the nature of it and accept our athletes in their program, in the sponsorship program. So there's a lot going on behind this invisible thing. So Vertis is trying its best to like bring more light to it, make it more visible. There every types of struggle. So for now, we have launched it to promote all these Paralympians who are going to Paris 2024. Some of them have done wonderful at the Virtus Global Games last year. Two of the athletes got direct qualification for Paris 2024 from the Global Games and table tennis. We are doing our best to get more closer, work closely with the IFs and the other IOSDs to create more opportunities. And yeah,
It's a really great motion. It's really great. It's not
thank
easy. No, I'm very proud of this. Yeah, this campaign can maybe we need to understand the demography. Uh, I athletes usually come more from rich countries than poor ones. Poor usually it's more disabled body or blind. Do they have um, insurance? I don't know the name for this. So the countries, rich countries, have knowledge. They have people working with IIs. Why they don't push so hard? This is so great. I'm really glad, and congratulations, Mo. She's not easy.
Oh, thank you so much and keep supporting us.
Always.
Okay, so
So,
as Juliana said, if anyone has any type of question, you can either email Juliana directly or you can email me.
Thomas, thank you so much to be here. It's very important. I sent to Aurora that you are here. Aurora just said hi. Yeah, very. She loved it that you are here, and I said, "Go boys here."
Yeah.
I hope other sports watching this after. We know that it's sometimes it's a trick, especially because of the language. Um, some languages are not so easy to to spread the information. Like I don't know Arabic, I don't know Danish for sure.
No, and the reason because since my athlete, I'm more curious about, since we are playing in 3 different Nordic countries, and then we are playing in club tournaments international, and we're also playing in national team tournament as a club. So there might be different rules that we are
That
not
is,
aware of. So that's why we need to take this seriously, so we could avoid any mistakes.
yeah. But if you have any questions, as Mush said, just and it's better to send a message. And I
Yeah,
say you don't need. Then
yeah,
you keep the information, and after 3 months, oh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
yeah,
No, it's a very long road. This because usually Paralympics, when I say Paralympics, not just blinds, every Paralympic, sitting volleyball, 5 aside, 7 aside, doesn't matter. We have a different pathway for all the informations. We don't have just the language, you have the impairment. So for the next year, we must to plan to be a little bit more accessible to II athletes. So how to do it, we need to plan. If someone has any clue, send to me, please. We are here to try to put more accessible for the athletes as possible. That it's the most difficult, maybe. But let's try. Thanks, Moshe, again for your support.
No, you're welcome, Juliana. And thanks, Thomas, for joining us for the seminar. Well, as he said, we are going to put it up on the YouTube channel and you can share it with your group.
great.
Okay. Have a
Bye
lovely day.
bye.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you.